When we talk about events that are likely to happen, so there's a good chance they will happen, we call those events probable. Kind of like probably, it'll probably happen. It's probable. If an event is unlikely to happen, it's unlikely that Mr. Siemens will go scuba diving next summer. We call that improbable. Improbable, which means it's unlikely to happen. It probably won't happen. Here's a picture of my buddy Lewis. And Lewis has these coins in his pocket. He has 9 pennies, 2 nickels, and 2 dimes. But as he's walking along, you can see right here that a coin falls out of his pocket. So if a coin just falls out at random, how likely would it be that the coin is, let's say, a penny? How probable is it, or what's the chances that a penny falls out of his pocket? Well, because he has 9 pennies and only 2 nickels and 2 dimes, there's a really good chance that a penny would fall out. So we would say it's probable. Or another way to say that is it's likely to happen. It will probably happen. What about the chances of a quarter falling out of his pocket? What are the chances that at random a quarter would fall out of Lewis's pocket? For that one, because Lewis has 9 pennies, 2 nickels, and 2 dimes, he has no quarters. So we would say that it's impossible. It's impossible for a quarter to fall out because Lewis doesn't have a quarter. What are the chances that a nickel or a dime fall out of his pocket? Well, because he has 2 nickels and 2 dimes, there is a chance that a nickel or a dime fall out, but he has a lot of pennies. So we would say that it's unlikely. Unlikely. And then another word to use is improbable. It's improbable that a nickel would fall out, or unlikely that a dime would fall out, because he has so many pennies. We can use a line like this to show how likely it is that an event will happen. So here you see an event that's impossible, and as we move along, we get to the middle, which is possible. It could happen, it could not, kind of in the middle, and all the way to certain. It absolutely will happen. So along the bottom we have absolutely cannot happen, might happen, and certainly is going to happen. Along the top of this line we have events that would be unlikely. So here, chances are it's not going to happen, but it might. And on this side we have likely. There's a good chance that it could happen. What do you think are the chances that Mr. Siemens drinks coffee today? What's the chances? Is it impossible? Probably not, because there's a chance, right? Is it certain? Well, it's not guaranteed, because sometimes Mr. Siemens drinks water or juice and doesn't have coffee. But there's probably a really good chance that he'll have coffee because he loves his coffee. So I would say that the chance is probably somewhere around here. It's very likely, it's possible, and it's likely, meaning it can happen and it probably will. What about the chances that you see a bird today? I would say it's not impossible because there might be a bird, and it's not certain because you're not always outside or looking up at the sky, so you may not see a bird. But I think that it's possible. And on the scale up here, is it unlikely or likely? Well, for me, it's possible, but because I'm working all day, I'm going to say it's kind of unlikely. So about here, I probably won't see a bird, but I might. What are the chances that you eat food sometime after school? Well, before you say it's certain I will certainly eat food, you have to keep in mind that what if you go home and you are feeling a little bit sick? Maybe you don't feel like eating, right? So maybe it's not certain that you're going to eat food, but it's really likely because you're probably going to have a snack or have supper or something. So it's certainly possible, and I would say it's very likely. So I would put a line right about here because I think it's really certain, or not certain, sorry, it's really likely, but not quite certain because there's a chance maybe you go home today and you have a stomach ache and you don't end up eating. But chances are you will, so it's very possible and likely. And this is how we use a line to help us gauge the probability of different events happening.